Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Sally, and this is Headspace for the Workplace. It's a podcast on helping to cultivate vibrant and psychologically safe and healthy workplaces. Joining me today is John Levy from New York, and he is talking to us about building a partnership with an employee assistance program. Now, this matters greatly because I work with a lot of employers, and they are scratching their heads sometimes. I say, do you have an employee assistance program? And they're like, yeah, I think I do. And I said, well, is anybody using it? And then they go and check it out. And it's like 2% utilization. And they get flustered. They're like, well, I guess that's not a useful benefit. And I'm like, yo, I have it all wrong. You have it all wrong. What you need to be doing is investing in this partnership and really fully appreciating your EAP, not just as a vendor, but as a partner. And so that's where we're headed today. And John, I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm really excited about our emerging partnership. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. I'm very, very glad to be on this podcast today.
Excellent. Tell us all a little bit about yourself. What do you do every day?
My name's John Levy. I'm the president of CCA. Most of my time is spent working with our clients and just really helping them problem solve some of the workplace and organizational issues they're facing, and also building new partnerships with people such as you.
Tell us a little bit about CCA. What is it? What are you known for?
So we've been an employee assistance program since 1984. What we're known for is really our proactive, hands-on approach with our clients. We retain clients. We've had some of our clients have been with us for 30 plus years.
That's great.
Very good retention rate, and we're known for really taking care of our employer clients when they're in crisis or in other ways as well.
And what are the two teasers that we're going to tee up for our audience today? What are the two things they're going to walk away with?
So the first tip or teaser, if I may, is we're going to talk about how to shift your perception of an EAP, how important it is to shift the perception of an EAP from just an employee benefit to also an employer resource. And the second tip is, how can we demystify and leverage the EAP in ways that help with performance and work-related issues and not just limited to crisis.
Mm-hmm. You're talking my language. I love it. Just a more holistic approach overall, but there's a lot of meat under each of those two tips. John, why do you care about this? What drives your passion, or what got you involved in the first place?
I've always been passionate about behavioral health and mental health. My parents are both psychologists. My father started this company. I went a different path. I went into law, and I did employment law for several years. And what I discovered from my own experience, both being a lawyer at a difficult law firm, as well as working with our clients, was the impact that mental health and mental well-being plays, even from the perspective of law. A lot of the cases we were dealing with were people who were, there were behavioral issues either on the manager side or the employee side that was driving it. The culture where I worked also could have used some help. So I think my own personal experience, as well as the experience as a lawyer in this area in employment, led me back to where my father was working and back into this company.
Excellent. Yes, a sidebar. I've definitely seen more and more legal groups, whether they're law firms or professional associations or specialty groups supporting the legal industry. Many more are now leaning into how do we help the mental health of our legal profession. So yeah, there's a lot of stress across a lot of industries, but that one's for sure. And I'm so grateful that you transferred kind of that lived experience into your work here to champion a solution forward that can help so many. What's something interesting about you that when people learn about you, they're like, what? Didn't see that coming.
Okay, so fun fact, I went to school, I went to university with Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's the maker of Hamilton and other performances. And I saw him 15 years ago on a train, and he told me about Hamilton. And I said to him, I don't really see it. I don't see how it can work. And so my fun tip is never take advice from me around arts or artistic endeavors.
Well, I'm so glad. I think the rest of the world is too, that he just did not listen to you because it's so magnificent. But that's hysterical. So hysterical. All right, let's go ahead and dig into tip number one. Shift your perception of what an EAP is from just an employee benefit to an employer resource. Tell us what you mean by that tip.
Well, all too often, EAPs are seen as a benefit. Their purchase is made by the benefits team. They're put into a framework alongside your medical insurance, your dental insurance. It's part of that ecosystem. And so I think while that's great, EAP is far more than just a benefit. And we talk about this a lot. An employee's mental health and behavioral health and well-being really is something that's dealt with at the individual level, but also there's an organizational impact on that. And likewise, the employee with their mental health or behavioral health challenges brings those challenges into the workplace. So the workplace has an impact on that, and they bring the challenges into the workplace. A benefit alone can't fix that. You can't provide just therapy in a vacuum and assume that your employees will be now mentally healthy and everything's good. You have to look at the context in which they work. And so that it's very important for people to, so it's important for leadership to really stop seeing it as an employee benefit, because we're being miscategorized, or we're being limited in how they view us. And that limits our ability to help the organization. And in the end, it actually limits our ability to actually help the members we're serving. So they don't exist in a vacuum.
Example. Yeah. Give us an example of something, because I think people might still be stuck on, but you provide therapy, right? That's what an EAP does. You give people help with their depression and anxiety, right? And what else? What else do they do? What else would you do and offer in this kind of partnership?
Yeah, an effective EAP provides training for managers. It helps managers understand how to lead with empathy. It teaches managers how to understand when somebody needs help, how that shows up in the workplace, what it looks like. And so the goal really is, so an effective EAP also teaches managers what it looks like and how to lead with empathy and how to be supportive of their employees who might be going through something. The flip side, it also helps, it really helps an organization understand if somebody comes to work with an issue, what they can do about it. You know, the person's, you more often than not, the organization picks up on some of the troubles that the individual is having, sometimes before the individual is even ready to go to therapy or even sees it themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's important for them to be aware of these things and to be able to tackle these things. I like to think of it as like a reciprocal relationship. So the employer is helping the employee with mental health challenges through this service and access to support. But the EAP is also supporting the employer by this whole suite of things. So it's not just, here's what I bought to help my troubled employees. No, employer, this is what you bought to help you. The whole organization, really much more broadly than maybe you're thinking. You were going to share an example of something? Yeah, another example I would give, and this is kind of, I think, part of the issue as well, is that if you start viewing EAPs as just a benefit, you don't know who to turn to when you need them, right? Like if you see them in just you wouldn't call United Healthcare for a workplace crisis or an organizational challenge. And so I think that's what I'm worried about, is people not thinking that they can use us in ways that have a positive impact on workplace culture, in ways that help them manage workplace behavioral issues as they manifest in the workplace. That's my worry. And so when you talk, Sally, when you talk to employers and you're like, do you have an EAP? They should know, that's the first place they should have gone. The fact that they don't even know they have one and they haven't even thought to turn to them to solve some of these issues is because I think it's miscategorized as just a benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they usually don't even know. They think HR is probably on top of it. They don't know the name. They don't know the utilization. They don't really know much at all. And that's really to their detriment, because they can be such incredible, trusted brokers to people using this and finding it credible. And heck, why don't they just use it themselves? Every leader I talk to, I'm like, call the EAP and get a session. And if you're resisting me right now, check into that. What is your resistance? Because everybody can improve their mental health in some way. And boy, are you going to be a much more credible broker if you've had a firsthand experience. All right, this leads us into number 2.
Yes.
We're going to demystify and leverage the many ways the EAP can help with performance and work-related issues. So if you're just thinking this is therapy and that's the line, you're going to miss out on so much of what an workplace sessions probably can offer you. Yeah,
and
dig into that.
Tip number 2 is kind of born out of tip number 1, but it's also like a continued misunderstanding, right? So I can't tell you how often HR, employee relations, like I say to them, why didn't you reach out to us earlier? This is a performance challenge that's been going on for years. Like, well, we didn't know there was a mental health issue. We're waiting to see if there's a mental health issue. I'm like, you don't wait to see. That's not how it works. You don't have to wait. You don't have to check a box before you call us. You don't have to say, oh, it's got to be substance abuse and or schizophrenia, and therefore I can now access the EAP. That is not at all what we want to see. And so, or an employee has died and we can get them on for crisis. They tend to see us, um, you know, when those are the employers that do leverage us for crisis, which is great, tend to view us as if we're solely for that. They don't see the role that the EAP can play on any performance or behavioral challenge in the workplace could benefit from an EAP intervention. Not every single one will necessitate therapy per se, but there's a lot of things that EAPs offer. They offer work-life solutions. They offer childcare, elder care. They deal with SDOH issues. And so
I also think they could be really helpful in addressing team morale issues, conflict, helping with conflict resolution between an employer and their employee and their supervisor.
exactly.
Like all of these other mental health related kinds of topics where people's emotions and their thoughts are getting in the way of things that need to be happening or relationships that need to be trusted. Yeah. There's just so many places to plug in.
It doesn't have to be a mental health issue. It's like any kind of poor workplace behavior that you'd like to see change. That's what you want the EAP to help you with. You don't want to.
Give your example that you gave to me before we started on the odor issue, because again, I think that's so out of the box and people are like, what? An odor issue? Yeah.
So one example is, just to kind of show something is an odor issue, right? So we get calls all the time for what are essentially odor issues, and employees' scent is unfortunately disturbing to other people, or they're not, they don't like the smell, and it's creating some issues. And a lot of times, I can't tell you the last like 3 times I got a call about this, and we get calls about this pretty frequently. The HR person's always like, I'm not sure if you can help with this. I don't know if this is what you do. I'm not sure, we have this thing. I'm not sure if I'm going to call in the right place. I kind of want to change that. I want an HR person to call us and always think they're calling the right place. Whenever you call us, whatever it might be, you're calling the right place. And so
every door is an open door. And
exactly.
When in doubt, check it out.
Exactly. And those situations, such as an odor issue, or even like lateness or coming into work late or missing some days, like they seem limited, but they tend to be a manifestation of a deeper problem. And that problem might be practical problem, right? Like I might be sleeping in my car. I lost my house. I'm having some monetary issues, or it could be a psychological issue, right? Same thing with lateness. They could be coming into work late because they have childcare issues. They could be coming into work late because they're depressed. We don't know. We don't have to solve that. The organization does not need to solve that. What they need to start thinking is EAP can help. I see a situation of negative workplace behavior, and I think EAP. Not because I think the person has a mental health issue. That's irrelevant. I think EAP because they're here as a tool and a partner around workplace behavior and workplace culture. And that's what I think is really important.
Awesome. Okay. So much there. And we'll be dropping a lot of these resources and tools and tips into the show notes if you want to dig deeper. John, I'm going to go back and just do a quick recap, and then I'm going to come back to you for your final thought.
Sure.
So we're here talking about, don't just check a box when you get your EAP. Think of it as an investment in a relationship for the holistic health of your organization, because getting people to therapy is one thing, but really understand what's going on with your worker well-being holistically, and the context of which it's sitting is where you're going to have much more sticky change. Just bouncing somebody off to a counselor is not going to get you to where you need to be. And thinking about your EAP as a fully vested partner. They win when you're invested in them. You win when you're invested in them. And it's a resource that has so much to offer in prevention, early intervention, crisis response, performance reviews, morale issues, team conflicts, a whole suite of things that are affecting your worker well-being every day. Such good stuff here. John, what is one thing you want to make sure that the audience does not miss?
My final quote?
Yes, your final thought.
Well, again, just to drive home the importance of the workplace, the context of the workplace culture, and your manager. There's a quote from the Workforce Institute's 2023 global survey that managers have just as much of an impact on employees' mental health as their spouse. and it's
Wow.
30% more of an impact than your therapist has. So just keep that in mind. So you get an EAP out there that provides the best therapy. That's great. But they do that by itself. That's not enough. You really do need that organizational support as well, because it has that much of an impact on your employees.
It makes a lot of sense to me. Where are people most days all day? They're at work, working with that manager. So let's get the manager in a position where they can help help that person live their best life. John, that's fantastic. And I'm going to drop that resource that he was just quoting from, because there's some really good data in there, into the show notes as well. John, if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can always just go to our website at www.ccainc.com. And there's a contact us button on that website that you can use to get in touch with us.
I love it. Okay, so we'll send people there so you could dig into this and understand it a little bit more deeply. Gratitude for you. I just really feel like we were destined to meet. So I'm really grateful to Mark Defee for connecting us. Thanks for being here and giving some of your time to talk about this really important topic.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. And I hope this is just the beginning of a lot of things that we get to do together. Thank you to our whole team behind this. We've got Dave, our sound engineer, and Mitchell and Chase and Elias and Whitney and many others that help bring us into your ears, or if you're watching this on YouTube, into your whole self. It does, of course, take a village to make really good things happen. And thank you to all of the listeners out there for making this a priority of your day. Please let us know what kind of things you're interested in, and leave a rating and review so that other people can find us. So in closing, working minds work well together. There's lots we can learn from each other to improve well-being of our workplaces. Until we meet again, take care.